Thank you very much. It is quite helpful.
Of course. The power of Trud now fills your loins. Feel his strength within you.
Hold on a second. Did you just say the power of turd?
Trud. It's Trud, not Turd. Common misconception is part of my common. I'm not good at common.
There are howls. Wind is swirling about, and you see ghostly humanoids rising from the rubble. It is a very chaotic scene. Some of them seem to be like, just a second ago I've been, kind of choking and fighting each other, and now they're looking for others to go after. We now have what's a complex hazard. It enters initiative. Complex hazards can be disabled with a 2-action activity, but it's not just thievery that can disable these. You can recall knowledge to try to understand more of its nature and what might put it down.
Seeing this like a massive thing spring from the bottom of the room, like a recall knowledge like you mentioned, or anything to see how I could stop it from killing my friends.
Yeah, and your exploit vulnerability gets to do that for free because of the feat you took. So why don't you do your esoteric lore? This is an echo of their death. It's a haunt. And you think that it has exaggerated features of their nature. And kobolds can be intimidated to back down.
Okay, I know this is going to sound crazy, but try to scare this fucking thing. Dora!
I'm already intimidated.
This is how we terrify people in France, in Monkeyland. I'm just gonna dash in. And I hope I don't fumble my check, because otherwise...
All right, I'm giving you a +2 circumstance, because you also have some, creepy esoterica.
Oh, come on.
Ah!
Can I use a hero point? Can I use a hero point?
Yeah, you can. Ah! The kobolds swarm around you in terror, in anger first, and then they... whatever you do causes them to... flee and burst out of the room. They look like they're going through all the arrow slits and all the fissures in the ground.
I just do some loud, like monkey noises. I peel back my jaw. You see like 2 horrible fangs just yank out of my face. Like the teeth are like, some of them are a bit rotten, jagged. Like they've probably eaten a couple of people with them. Like it looks,
like Nicolas Cage. From that vampire movie.
Yeah, I don't feel that spectacular, but it wasn't that horrible. I mean, I had no hit points to begin with, so that was just...
Well, I could heal you, but you see, for it to work, you kind of have to say, Trud, please heal my wounds. I beg of you, you're a great god. It's part of the whole ritual.
Perfectly understandable. I am a very good liar. I'll be happy to do that. Trud, you are a spectacular deity worthy of our praise. And I fall down to my knees. I beg of thee, thy divine mercy and grace, visit upon my wounded body your great healing, mighty turd.
I'm like already casting the spell before I hear the last part. I'm like, no, wait, no, and it just goes anyways.
Do you want me to patch you up a bit, or?
No, it's just okay. I've been feeling a little bit down. This whole turd situation is just kind of getting me a little sad.
Granny, I know you value being alive first and foremost, and you being alive involves Dragomir being alive. And Dragomir being alive apparently involves Dragomir, not a god, not being called a turd. Turd, whatever. You understand. So stop doing that.
And I look at you with puppy eyes. I'm just kind of do like a turd.
Oh, you're so adorable. Very well then. I shall no longer use your god's true name.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. All right.
Thank you, Granny. Very nice of you. I did not expect you to be so understanding.
There is a red bloodstain glistening on the floor at the room's center, as though a human-sized creature bled to death here very recently, despite there being no body. The blood is now starting to rise from the pool. Just as the night falls upon the surrounding area, and it is now starting to take form of a human woman.
I am very sorry for tasting the blood of your composition.
Cold blue light shines from the form's eyes and open mouth as it rotates around in place. There's an initial burst all around her, and everyone in the room needs to do a fortitude save. Fortitude save for Oz.
Hi, fellas, TPK, let's go!
Yeah, this is... Oh no. That's a critical failure. Do you want to do a hero point? Oh, that's not enough. Okay.
So just reduce the total of whatever this is by 5.
Oh wait, that was a low damage roll. Except that's still double its max hit points. I am afraid. No. Face familiar. We'll reduce that by 5.
Doesn't matter, right?
That's exactly what I used. So it's dropped to 5, which means...
Yeah, so it just becomes unconscious. 5. Because massive damage, instant death happens when the incoming damage is double its maximum health. And because face familiar reduces it to 5.
Fuck me, what the hell am I looking at? Can I recall? Can I try to fucking see what I'm trying to understand what I have in front of. Fuck me, I'm using a hero point. Please roll better than a 2. Come on. You got like...
Nice. Alright. Cool. You know that it has weakness to positive damage. You also know that it resists all physical damage except unless it has the ghost touch property. It also immune to critical hits, immune to everything an object would be immune to. Not sure what that is. And it's also immune to precision damage. This is the critical hit effect of esoteric lore. It tells them all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So you automatically get to trigger its weakness no matter what kind of damage you apply to it. That was just your esoteric lore. You're also critically succeeding on recall knowledge.
Okay.
Because of your feat. You put 2 and 2 together and realize this is Belcora that you're looking at. The sorceress who was killed 500 years ago. And that this is tied with the circumstances for death. You conclude this is a very stubborn haunt, and that physically manipulating the blood might disturb its energies to cause it to disperse, but not permanently.
Remember what I said earlier when I said it was very fresh? It's not very fresh at all. It is 500 years old. It's the fucking witch. To dispel
the MVP of today, by the way.
Esoteric lore for the win, I suppose.
I grab my holy symbol of Trud and I put it up, and as it starts glowing with this holy radiance, I go, Trud, 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 and it just explodes in this Nova healing energy.
All right.
So I'm going to heal 3 actions. I'm going to heal everyone here, and I'm going to deal positive damage to Volcora.
Oh, you beautiful person.
All right, 3 action heal. Here we go. And so this is your 3rd heal today. It must be
maximum damage.
Whoa! Oz the chicken is now at full health. Belcora needs to do a fortitude save against your healing. 17 succeeds, so it takes half of that. But it's positive damage, so it takes 5 additional damage. Granny.
All right, sorry I had to walk out, guys. My dog had to go outside and take a trud. Oh dear, it looks like you all got yourselves in a bit of trouble. Well, I'm going to help clean this up. And I launch into spellcasting. I'm casting Summon Construct. I'm summoning forth an animated broom, which is a...
I'll let it do an attack, and I'm going to give it +2 because this is super appropriate. Oh, 21. You are able to wipe it and disperse it. Disperse its necromantic energies. It's like a voodoo doll. As it does a sweep, you see part of the blood splurge off of the form, the 3-dimensional form that's in the middle, and splatter all over Kara and the chicken. And with the next sweep, it there's another splotch of blood that goes into the opposite wall, and it is successfully averted. I'm giving a hero point to Granny.
Yay!
Oh,
now
that was crazy!
See, my dear friend, that is how you clean out the trash, the rubble, the blood. You all just blundered into that one. It's a good thing Granny was back here to save you.
Let's all wrap up and just for the day and say what we've thought so far. Any thoughts about it?
Sure. I like the traps. Like, they felt cool. You know, like it was funny to have to scream at ghosts to make them go away. It's the first time I ever did this, I believe, ever in all my years.
Yeah. So traps are not disabled simply through thieves' tools.
Yeah, definitely recall knowledge. Like with esoteric lore, like the Thaumaturge thing, feels very strong to use. Like you recall a shit ton of knowledge, which does feel incredibly helpful. So that's nice. Honestly, Thaumaturge feels very fun to play so far. I'm really enjoying it. The healing feels incredible in Pathfinder, but we mentioned it last session. But like unlike D&D, like it's so much healing. And plus, like for example, like what Dragomir just did, like at the end, where he healed everybody and damaged the enemy with positive damage.
After I cast that summon broom spell or whatever, I was reading like the rules on summons, the summon trait, and then the minions trait, and I really like those rules because one of the things that really annoys me in 5th edition is where you get 12. What are they?
Velociraptors?
Yeah, they 12 pixies or something, and then they can turn people. They can use
polymorph
on people and stuff. And there's just so many broken things about summons in 5th edition D&D that almost every game master I know has house rules about summons because it's so stupidly broken and poorly designed. And the game designers have realized that too, because now the new summons only get one in 5th edition. But what I like about Pathfinder is they actually put some thought into it, and maybe there was actually some real play testing that happened because I have to spend an action on my turn to sustain spell, and then my summon is a minion, right? It gets 2 actions, and I was reading it, and it says that if a summoned creature, it can't cast a spell that's a higher level than the spell that summoned it, right? So it prevents you from being able to get like a low-level minion that somehow can get a high-level spell and then just getting access to power and all this kind of stuff. So I was just impressed by the thought they put into it. It's like they did the research and homework and playtesting to realize all the ways that players want to break crap, and they put some effort into balancing it, and that was very cool to see that.
No, I enjoyed the skill-based challenges, right? Like what do you call them? You didn't call it puzzles. You called them hazards. Yeah, I think it's fun to have encounters that are more than just hitting. So long as there's also like a way to deal with them. Otherwise, like I like that we could have attacked this thing and killed it, but you can also have like a support player character that can perhaps do something else other than hitting it, and that also helps the party in some way. I really, really appreciate that. Like, and I don't think that's how it works here, but just the notion that you could say, do an Arcana check or do a medicine check or intimidation, I guess, in the case of the kobolds, and that helps the process of ending the encounter, while the players that are more martial focused or damage focused can also do their own martial or damage focused thing, and that also helps in some way. The fact that you can have like different avenues of attack or of solving the problem, I really like that idea. The fact that it's being explored more in here, I really appreciate. So that's good. Really like that. I'm not a big fan of the medicine check. The medicine healing, like out of combat healing, it really bugs me. We'll see how it starts feeling as we keep going. I'm still not a big fan of it. Kind of just like I want to be a healer, but I don't want to be. The fact that healing is free in the game, I don't know. I don't like it.
You need to treat wounds thing.
Yeah, I don't. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like, you take 20 minutes and then you just heal for free to full and just do that forever. Yeah, I just wish that there was like if I was to DM Pathfinder and homebrewing, it seems to me that at least as far as the community on Reddit is concerned, homebrewing out of the core rules seems to be anathema to the game design. People get really upset. But I would probably set up some kind of just like, you can only have wounds treated on you a day, a maximum of your like constitution modifier or something. Just set up some limit so that you can like not have it just be permanent. Because I love this I think Evan was talking about this. I love how powerful healing is. I love it because to me, and I was telling you, Ronald, about this. To me, healing is one of the pillars, right? Like you have damage dealing, and that's a core component of the game. And you don't really want mechanics that just eliminate dealing damage. Like that's a big part of the game. Tanking, taking hits, right? You don't want something that just completely eliminates taking hits from the game, because that's a component, a very core to these games. And healing, to me, it's also one of those. And so the fact that like healing out of combat is just kind of like, it's just free without really any strings attached. It's just like anyone can get medicine. A barbarian can get medicine. The witch can get medicine. And it's just so strong, and the features make it so much stronger.
Rex and I had a 3-hour podcast, essentially a podcast talk, where we went over this. I mean, it sounds like, Rex, you're where I fell was that there's a design reason for out of combat healing being so strong, which is to remove the need of the GM needing to have to have a certain length of adventuring day. And it allows a 1 encounter adventuring day to happen and a 12 encounter adventuring day to happen. The balance is around the individual encounters.
All encounters are very deadly, right? Like, I mean, we could see it here on this one. Like, the game expects you to be at full HP, and so it's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're at full HP, giving you whatever you need to be at full HP. Because if we weren't in that encounter, we would have all died.
Yeah, and like, the chicken, when it critically failed, the damage that it would have sustained was 2d8 plus 4. That was a level 3 hazard, complex hazard. Level 3 creatures will crit often and do like 10, 20 damage in a single hit. And they want that element of danger in an individual encounter. Which is, if you have an attrition, an idea of, you kind of have to make the individual fights less deadly if you're having more of a designing around balancing an adventuring day with several encounters. It's a different kind of game. It's not better or worse, but it's not compatible, I think, with you either have to balance around the encounter or the adventuring day. You can't really do both at the same time.
It's hard. It's hard to get one without getting the other, for sure. You can do it in D&D, but like you really have to make the battle like really deadly and really crazy to get all the resources to be used in one single encounter, which is not, how it's intended, for sure.
No, I was thinking about what Rex was saying about like each encounter can be very challenging. And in D&D, it's a game of attrition over the adventuring day, right?
Yeah.
And it's resource management. And then you want to not blow your wad early because you need to save enough for the big boss fight that presumably comes at the end of an adventure. So I think that there are advantages and disadvantages either way, because what I feel in D&D, when I'm running and designing a D&D 5e game, there's a big boss, right? There usually is. And I know that the party needs to have a certain level of attrition to them. Otherwise, they're just going to mop the big bad boss up, right? And so I have to have a certain number of encounters to wear them down. I'm obligated to do so, right? Somehow they got to get worn down before they get to the big bad boss, And if they go long rest somewhere, if they decide to leave and go long rest because I wore them down too much, which is possible, then they come back and they're at full health. Then I have to do stuff like restock the dungeon or something, so I can wear them back down again. So there's this balancing act of things you got to do when you're running it. So there is a certain amount of freedom, and you can release some of your worries and concerns over that in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, because you can say, hey, each encounter can be pretty tough, but that's okay because they can get a lot of healing and all this kind of stuff back. They get their focus points back and stuff. They don't get their spell slots back, but they get a lot of other stuff back. So I don't have to worry too much about the adventuring day. I don't got to worry too much about wearing them down before they get to that big bad boss fight. And in fact, I could have just a handful of encounters, and they could all be pretty challenging, and I could design a dungeon that way, and it would be just fine. I could have 3 encounters, I could have 12 encounters, and I don't have to worry about this adventuring day concept, which it presents a lot of difficulties and challenges, So I think that there's an advantage of doing it that way too. You could design around the adventuring day too, kind of, if you wanted to a Pathfinder, although you don't really have to. So as a dungeon master, for me, it's kind of freeing not to have to worry about it. I don't have to worry so much about the party going and long resting and getting all their spell slots back, because I could have every encounter be fairly challenging to begin with. You know what I mean?
I think both D&D 5e and Pathfinder 2e could learn from and potentially implement in the future, in which I actually think that 1D&D might actually do this, but we'll have to wait and see, is what they're currently doing in the Baldur's Gate 3 video game, which is in order to take I believe it's a long rest, but I think it'd also be cool if this could be short rests too. In order to take a rest, you need to adventure and find loot, primarily camping loot, food, rations, equipment, stuff like that, in order to make camp and spend time regaining your resources, which means that in order for the party to properly gain back their expended resources, they need to adventure. Right now in Pathfinder 2e, Kara could be a cantrip cannon for the next 10 sessions if we never took a long rest. Basically, I think Pathfinder is encouraging more spellcaster-heavy groups to take more long rests than other groups. If a dungeon master was interested in the party doing X amount of content, and if they don't, then they'll suffer the consequences, be it the dungeon having extra guards being introduced, traps being rearmed or stuff like that. And then the more caster-oriented group can't handle that much stuff because they're lacking their crucial resources. It's really up to the dungeon master for how lenient they're willing to be, knowing that their party is more or less capable for certain amounts of things, I suppose.
All right, well, I gotta go, boys. It's been a pleasure.
I think we're wrapping up.
It was fun, everyone.
So, yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next week, same time.
All right, sounds good, guys.